My dream was to go to Sweden.
Oh, wow.
I applied, I introduced people to, going to Sweden, some classmates. Everybody got licensed in Sweden except me. So I came into the country as a physician, and then I had to eat some humble pie. My first job was as a receptionist.
Wow.
In a school. Obviously, like you said, is a personal pain, usually born in silence. It wears a mask. You learn how to cover it up. You call yourself bold and beautiful and fabulous. Then when you see skinny people, you know how to make them feel bad about being skinny or slim. Once I remember a colleague in residency, very misogynistic, we talk down at people, especially female Latinas. Something I learned recently, which makes all of it make sense, it's called the natural law of growth. If you're not growing, you're dying. And then even in business, it gets to a stage, the stage one, you're trying to get your feet off the ground for the first few years, and then you're scaling, you're growing. If you don't pay attention in that stage of growth and you just relax, you're going to die. And that's why you can find 100-year-old businesses just declare bankruptcy. And even in your personal life, if you're not growing, you're dying. Oftentimes women would say, I'm so-and-so's wife. First you were someone's daughter, then you became a wife, then this one's mom. Who exactly are you? What makes you tick? What makes you laugh? What defines you?
Welcome to another transformative episode of Unlocking Life's Notes with Fola, the podcast where we explore the real stories, raw struggles, and remarkable victories that shape the people we admire. I am your host, Fola, and today we are in for something deeply special. Our guest today is someone whose life defies the ordinary, a physician, entrepreneur, advocate, and leader. Dr. Bukola Esho is the founder of Bloomfield Medical Clinic, a space where health, dignity, and personalized care meet. But long before the white coat and the title of doctor, Bukola was a young Nigerian girl with a dream, a vision, and the courage to chase it across continents. From studying medicine in Romania to navigating the cultural shifts of life in the United States, becoming a trusted voice in the healthcare space, Dr. Esho's journey is rich with purpose, pain, pivots, and power. Even more inspiring is how she turned her personal battle with obesity into a platform of empathy and transformation for others. Today, we're not just going to be talking about career and credentials. We meet the woman behind the vision. We will unpack the moments that tested her faith, the silent battle she fought, and the wisdom she gained from untagging her own life's knot. If you ever felt like you are stuck in your story, today's conversation is an invitation to hope, healing, and movement. So settle in, because Dr. Bukola Esho is about to take us on a journey that is honest and it's inspiring. You're welcome today, Dr. Bukola Esho.
Glad to have you here. Thank you.
So, the first question. So, before the white coat, before Bloomfield Medical, who is Bukola? What was your dream like as a young lady?
I would say Bukola has always been a dreamer. So asking me about my dream as a young lady is very, very appropriate. I grew up in Nigeria, as you already know, surrounded by a lot of abundance and at the same time, a lot of scarcity. And I was always someone who needed to break rules. For example, I was raised in deeper life. I started to recognize constrictive things, and I knew, okay, there needs to be more than this, And then in Nigeria, there's a lot of dysfunction, ASU strikes, people graduate, no jobs after graduation. So I knew I wanted to do something that would give me freedom. So I've always dreamt of that. The days of no electricity, I knew there was something more. And I would read novels and books, and I learned about things I had never seen. At that time, I'd never seen trains in my life, trams. fancy buses. But the books literally created pictures and images in my mind. So I would say before medicine, before the white coat, I was definitely a dreamer. I was someone who would read books and then allow my mind to paint mental pictures.
Wow.
And I knew I was going to leave the country I was born in. I knew I was going to live elsewhere. I even dreamt about scenarios of what I would do in those countries. And lo and behold, everything came together.
Wow, that was truly inspiring. Can you actually walk us through the journey from Nigeria to becoming a medical doctor in the United States?
Sure. So I did a few years first in Nigeria.
As a doctor?
No, as a medical student. And Nigeria being Nigeria, you run into ASU strikes. I even went to a private university. We would lose accreditation every 365 days.
Oh, wow.
So at some point, myself and some colleagues knew there needed to be more. So I started looking for schools on the internet, and then I had to balance it with cost because my parents would have to do exchange rates. So I settled for Romania because the language of instruction was English. And then I had a couple friends who left a year before me. And I completed my medical school education in Romania.
Okay.
And then it came to the point of where am I going to? My dream was to go to Sweden.
Oh, wow.
I applied. I introduced people to, going to Sweden, some classmates. Everybody got licensed in Sweden except me.
Oh, wow.
So the next detour was the United Kingdom. And I have very lovely family members there. And for some reason, they just gave me this sense of, you're not welcome to be a doctor here. Not in a negative way.
Okay.
It was more of, you're meant for more than this. There was a doctor I was supposed to shadow then. And this doctor was like, I showed up and he was like, no, I'm not going to see you. What are you doing in this country? Go to the United States. And a friend of mine had invited me to the US. I even had the visa then. And it was one of those situations where you're just stuck. You're in limbo. Oh, by the way, my parents told me I couldn't come to Nigeria.
Oh.
My dad said it in all languages. You're not welcome. So it was like the only place that kind of beckoned, like come, was America. So I would say 5 years before I came to America, I never even thought about it. 3 years before, I didn't think about it. Actually, a year before I came to this country, it wasn't on my radar.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, getting here was the reluctance was there.
Okay.
So there was a lot of resistance in me. It's a dream country for a lot of people, especially people like me. But I guess the 24, 25-year-old version was quite arrogant.
Oof.
I was a little bit bitter. Sweden should have been it. Even German. I even learned Swedish language. Yes, I learned Swedish language. Oh, so when I finished medical school in Romania, I started residency. And in the evenings, I'll go for Swedish classes.
Because you'd never give up on...
I thought it was Sweden. By the way, I know nobody in Sweden. I was just arrogant and I was like, it's a Scandinavian country. I wanted to live near the seaside. I don't even swim.
Oh.
So it's just one of those, stupid young dreams. And unfortunately, I let it stand in my way, my first few years in America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So would you say, listening to you right now, would you say there's a bit of divinity, divine,
definitely,
in you transcending?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because if you want to be, like I said, there was a little bit of arrogance there.
Okay.
Older me knows better.
Okay.
You don't get to tell God, tell whoever you believe in how things would work out.
Okay.
And I'm a Christian, and I strongly believe, and I know this as my lived experience, that the plan God has for you is way better than whatever you can come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And just listen. Sometimes write your ideas down. Listen to the opportunities God sends your way.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely there was divine guidance.
Yes. And to pick out from what you said listen.
Mm-hmm.
What came to me at that point was even listen to the disappointments.
Of course.
God might be speaking.
Yeah. And I came to the US a few months later. The Swedish God just sent me an email. Oh, we just need XYZ from you. I was like, too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. What inspired you to study medicine? Or was it just dreams? Was it that you just loved people in the white coat?
You want the truth?
Yes, the truth.
Okay.
Or was it money?
No, it wasn't money initially, but I'm not opposed to money. Money is not a dirty word.
Okay.
However, it came to me first in 1992.
Wow.
I had a bunch of older cousins who graduated from college and they could not find jobs.
Okay.
And they'll come to my dad. In Nigeria, you go to your uncle, give me a letter to this person. Let's use your connections. And I overheard my mom, my dad, and some other people. I'm just saying it. Assuming this person studied medicine, pharmacy, law, architecture, engineering, they could have opened shop. Ooh. So as a 7-year-old then, of course, I'm dating myself and aging myself right now.
Yeah.
As a 7-year-old, I knew, I must study something that would allow me open shop when I graduate. So I want to apply. And I don't like begging people. I don't want to go sit down with any uncle.
Yes.
Because even though it wasn't me, I felt it was humiliating to beg people, write me a letter to this person. I know in Nigeria, your uncle goes, I'll give you a note to this person.
Yes.
And then they come back disappointed. Unfortunately, some of those cousins never gained employment. So for me, that was the biggest push.
Wow.
And then number 2, my dad worked with UNICEF. He was involved in malaria control the first 10 years or so of his career. And then guinea worm control.
Okay.
Sometimes I would go with him to some of these places where they would drill boreholes, do health education. So I would say, yes, I did have a flair for people. But for me, it was more of, I must do something that can allow me open shop and be the master of my own destiny.
Oh, wow.
I didn't think of it that way then. It was just like, okay, I don't ever want to go knock on an uncle's house, and be like, oh, please help me get a job.
Wow, wow. That's great. What would you say was a defining moment for you as a teenager that shaped your identity?
As a teenager.
Or even in your childhood. It doesn't have to be in your teenager.
So maybe my childhood. Like I said, I always question things. I didn't question authority though, but I questioned things. My favorite question in the world till now is why? If you take me to church and church is lasting more than 3 hours, when I'm inviting people, you send children out for evangelism in Nigeria, you're like, service is 9 to 12. By 12:30, little me will be like, why? Why can't the pastor synthesize a sermon? Why is it like 11:45? You're like this. We're dividing the sermon into 3 parts. So I always question those things, and then I question the status quo. Like, why wouldn't things work? So I would say that kind of, whenever I felt any dysfunction in society or around me, in my personal life, I always question. So I say questioning defined me. Yeah.
What was the hardest adjustment you had to make as you navigated the 3 different cultures, Nigerian culture, Romania, and the US?
So the biggest adjustment would be the US. So I was way younger when I went to Romania. I was super excited. I couldn't believe I was finally out of Nigeria. I knew I was going to live outside the country. And then, but for the US, there was a lot of resistance in me.
Okay.
I had to unlearn.
Wow.
I had to unlearn a lot of things, and particularly in medicine. The method of studying in Nigeria was very different than Romania. And I easily transitioned again because of the joy factor. I was excited. And when I came to the US, I would say it was so difficult to learn how to study for the USMLEs. They are intense. They're very difficult. So that was the biggest adjustment. And then the other big adjustment would be the fact that everybody drove cars. You couldn't walk. It's like no social life, where you're going to start from. And then I would say another adjustment would be the fact that I came into the country as a physician. And then I had to eat some humble pie. My first job was as a receptionist.
Wow.
In a school.
And you came in as a physician.
And I came in as a physician. And then people would say stupid things. And I say stupid, without any apologies. Things like, oh, you're just a doctor in Nigeria. I'm like, I didn't study in Nigeria. I didn't graduate in Nigeria. You're not a doctor in America. And people started offering me, how do you say? Other options.
Yeah, other
alternatives,
options.
Except medicine from day one. So it also created this kind of hostility. I was like, no, that's not me. So that was a very big adjustment.
Wow.
I came from a place where everybody was like, oh yeah, you can do it. You're doing it. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh no, you're not that. So it was a huge adjustment.
Yeah, so would you then say moving from Nigeria to Romania to the US, was it part of what gave you the courage to take major bold steps within your career?
I want to say yes to that. I would say what made me take major bold steps was having doors slammed in my face
Okay.
a lot, especially after I finally conquered the exams. I applied for residency the first year, nothing.
Wow.
Second year, nothing.
Oh.
Like it destroys everything you hold there. Like your self-esteem crashes. And you're stuck in limbo. If you know people who studied medicine in other countries, you come here. You're not a physician, but you're not a physician, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for me, even those days of struggles, of having no way forward, I started to craft what I would be. Almost like I'm going to show them, them in this situation being me. I'm going to prove to myself that, okay, the delays were not me. So having those slammed in my face definitely shaped a lot of what I'm doing today. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much. So now we'll go a bit more personal.
Okay.
And I hope you don't mind.
Let's see.
So I'm going to be talking about your journey with obesity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's a deeply personal one.
Mm-hmm.
What was the emotional tipping point that made you take action?
Yeah, actually I have a date for that. It was September 2021. For myself personally, obesity, like you said, is a personal pain, usually born in silence. It wears a mask. You learn how to cover it up. You call yourself bold and beautiful and fabulous. Mm-hmm. Then when you see skinny people, you know how to make them feel bad about being skinny or slim. And then you have terms. If I can speak Yoruba, for the men, they'll say things like, for the women, they're like, my husband doesn't like slim girls. Or my husband doesn't want this part to be small. So, and then being in America, everybody's bigger than you. At your biggest, for most of my patients, at your biggest, you're not even the biggest in America. So it's like it wears a mask and it has a lot of friends and neighbors, and then you just adjust. You go to the store, you put on a big clothes, you're like, oh, these stupid designers. It's the Chinese that manufactured it. And America is full of abundance. So you go the next size up, But the big tipping point was September 2021. I saw my pictures after a family event and the emotion was anger.
Wow.
I was angry. I was disappointed. I could punch a wall. Of course, I didn't punch a wall, but it brought a lot of shame. And mind you, at that time, I already opened my practice. Oh. And I was already helping patients. So back to, you're not the biggest in America. So it's like, body positive, don't shame yourself, don't fat shame me. And then, but seeing myself, if there's one thing I'll call my superpower, I tell myself the truth. I tell myself the truth. So when I saw that picture, I was like, this is not good. So that was the tipping point. It was a Wednesday. I did my first personal treatment of obesity on that Friday. Yeah. Wow. So shame, anger, disappointment. Yeah.
Wow. That's great. That's great. So how did you go through that transformation that now helps you become a better healer to your patients?
So I would say apart from the obesity treatment, I've also had some other medical issues. So when you navigate healthcare as a patient, a physician patient, now you're on the receiving end. And then you start to listen to the frustrations of your patients. A doctor comes into the room, they take care of you and that's it. They don't know what the front desk does. They don't know what the back office does. And there's a lot of, a lot of things get lost in translation. Right? So I saw that as a patient. And then I started taking notes of things I didn't want to see in my practice. So that definitely shaped me. If you've suffered pain before, you know how to put yourself in other people's shoes. So the things that I felt were not offered a lot, like spending time with patients, that was part of my notes. When I open my own shop or when I help patients, they will get my time. If you're paying to get in my presence, you're going to get the best of my time. Yes.
And that's definitely I can attest to.
Thank you.
What would you say to somebody listening right now that feels stuck in their body or stuck in their body, basically?
Yeah. So what I would tell someone like that is, usually when you're stuck, is because you're in the wrong situation. It may be location-wise, it could be mentality-wise. Wrong situation meaning you've outgrown where you used to be or where you found yourself and you're stuck because there's some resistance in you. Resistance could be in your attitude. Sometimes you get huge blessings or you have huge opportunities in front of you, and then you sit there bawling your eyes out, crying about the old opportunity that is slipping away. Meanwhile, that opportunity was not for you. That old place was not yours. So if you're stuck, it's time for you to. Oh, I'm a big fan of pen and paper.
Oh, wow.
Start writing things down. The answer will come to you. And usually the things that will grow you are very painful and uncomfortable. So get ready to become a little bit more uncomfortable. But on the other side is everything you've dreamed about. Is the fulfillment of all your dreams, bigger than what you've ever thought. So being stuck is actually a good thing. It's not a negative.
So, how would you say you create joy, peace, and the part of your life that does not wear a title?
Yeah. I first of all give myself permission to be human.
Okay.
So even in the choice of specialty I went to, human beings need to eat, they need to sleep. At the basic level, I know I have to get enough rest. So I gave myself permission for certain things. And then when it comes to joy, you deliberately need to choose joy in this day and age. So I disengage from negativity, especially in the news. Almost everything in the news in the last 5 years has been rage bait. Something to get you angry. You find yourself getting angry about something happening in the DR. You don't even live there. You have no family there, you're getting angry. So I disengage from anything that does not serve me well or give me joy. And then I deliberately look for opportunities.
Oh.
I surround myself with people that make me happy. If I can't go out or if I can't find those people, I actually get on YouTube. I know all the comedians. Yeah, because sometimes life is so stressful, you can't create it within yourself. But just hearing the dialogue of some funny comedian, it brings you joy, So I look for those things.
Oh, thank you very much. What you just said now is very, very true. Sometimes you just try to find joy within, and you cannot. The kind of people you actually surround yourself with,
True.
It's very important. I remember when I first met you, and my first conversation with you, I was kind of in a downtime, if you can remember. And that conversation I would owe dearly to for the rest of my life. Once again, right in front of the cameras, I appreciate you for that conversation.
Oh, thank you. I can't even remember the details of the conversation.
Yeah, it was truly inspiring.
Wow.
What would you say success means to you? And how has that definition changed you over the years?
So currently, I would say success, I would say in the last decade of my life has meant control. Being in control of my own destiny, the ability to make choices. Me in my 20s into my 30s, success would have meant money, showing up, turning up. But life took me through a series of events that I'm not even very active on social media because I had to go inside myself and grow. But now, if I have control over my time, control over choices I can make, that for me is success. Yeah, time freedom is success for me. Of course, the ability to create the kind of practice that really impacts people, that makes a difference, that for me is success, And then the other thing it's success for me is seeing my mentees go places, biggest part of my back. I mean, for me, I'm at that stage in my life where if the doctors I mentor, the people I mentor, if they get more successful than me, it's it's the biggest flex for me.
Yes.
It would be amazing. And I really want to push all of them towards bigger success. Aristotle said something. If I can see further, it's because I climbed on the shoulder of giants.
Right.
I want to be that giant someone else climbed on their shoulder and then it can see further. Oh. So for me, I think going into my 40s, my 50s, control, and then seeing the people that I mentored or contributed something to become more successful, that would be success for me. Yeah.
And yes, I've had a couple of conversations with people that you probably mentored, and let me let the cat out of the bag. A lot of people say good stuff about you.
I'm glad.
You are definitely mentoring the next set of great people that are outside of their calling, either medicine, tech, or anything. They do have a human face.
Right.
So thank you very much for that.
Right.
So as a woman, an immigrant, and a leader, how do you handle pressure without breaking under it?
Oh, that's a good one. Pressure is what defines every woman.
Yes.
And there's no point crying about it. If you are not tested, if you don't go through pressure on a regular basis, you don't have a destiny. Pressure means different things at different stages of life. So number one is a privilege is because of your life, is because you have something like a gift in you. That's why you're tested or being pressurized. And then again, going back to putting pen on paper, write things down. You know, oftentimes when I start writing things down, that big problem becomes smaller. And then start asking questions, why and how. Are two questions that can get you out of any bind. And then the other thing is, as you're doing this, invariably, it's a two-way street. You're working out the problem and then you're developing yourself on the inside. And then the more you develop yourself on the inside, you start to have this sense of respect for yourself. Oh, I conquered that problem. I can think through the next step. And then you get into this mode of planning. For years, I actually carried a physical calendar. When I was chief resident in my residency program, I had everybody's schedule with me every single day I showed up to work. So there's a lot of pressure, but a lot of pressure would diffuse when you write things down and when you have a plan, and then when you can keep track. Yeah, so that's how I do handle a lot of my pressures. Yeah.
Thank you. Sometimes do you feel the weight of being the example? And how do you protect your authenticity in the spotlight?
Good. I don't feel that weight because I've come to recognize myself as not the source, but the channel.
Oof.
And the reason is this, like, who am I? It's a privilege that I can even talk to people and they listen.
Okay.
It's actually a privilege. And for a lot of people, maybe some doctors, they have that chip on their shoulder. Being a doctor is just a part of who Bukola Esho is. It's not my personality. It doesn't define me, So I don't see myself as that all in all. I'm just a channel. And the good thing about my kind of channel is I'm very willing. I'm a willing channel. It's a privilege that God can actually do things through me. And then I just do my part. If God flows through me to somebody else, God takes responsibility for their results. And oftentimes when people say thank you to me, I say thank God. And I don't say it as a religious thing. As they say thank you to me, internally I'm saying thank you to God. Like at least the opportunity came. You could have used somebody else, So I don't feel that weight. And then being in the spotlight, like I said, there's who I am. There's what I do. And what I do will never replace who I am.
Okay.
So I still get to be a daughter to my mom and dad. They live with me now. I get to be mom to my kids. I'm auntie to my nieces and nephews. I'm a friend to my friends, And being a doctor is just what I do. So I don't even crave the spotlight. I don't crave the spotlight.
Yeah.
I don't like social media. So.
Yeah. And what's one moment in your life that required deep faith than logic?
Oh, yeah. Very easy. January 2021, after I had my baby, I had a stroke, a brain bleed.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I was in coma for a bit. I think maybe a few days. I'm not sure because, okay. And then coming out of that, the prognosis was not very good. Prognosis means, how is it going to be like, going forward? And I had significant post-stroke fatigue and I couldn't find answers. Doing a lot of deep reading, talking to people. And as a Christian, you always go back and rely on your faith. And part of the complications of that condition, the type of stroke I had, would be daily headaches. There are people who had it 30 years ago, they still get that specific headache. And I remember in July of that year, I actually prayed. I prayed before I took an afternoon nap, and that was the last day I had that headache. Logically, I don't have a reason for that, how that happened, except faith. And then even beyond that, me getting into residency was faith. Like in the Bible, it says, Abraham, who against hope, believed. So I've had a lot of those situations in my life.
Where you had to, definitely.
Like for example, the kind of stroke I had, only 10% of people would survive it. So I would say definitely it's faith, it's God. Another thing would be this kind of model of business. I don't take health insurance.
Yeah. And
a lot of doctors, mentors, well-meaning people in my career will tell you that's suicide. Like, nobody's going to come to you. If you advertise, it's a waste of money. And we just clocked 4. So logically, it won't make sense that people have insurance and then they will seek out a doctor and pay cash and, So I would say Bloomfield itself defies logic in the logical sense of it. It's more of faith. It's God making things happen and keeping things going, Yeah.
So with all you said, I can almost say you're a firm believer of Christ.
Yes, definitely.
And
that's a personal thing. And that's something I try to define properly. It's personal, meaning my walk with God is individual. It does not depend on any institution, any church. So I like to make that clear, because nothing against institution, nothing against organized churches and religion. I have a Bible. I should read it. I talk directly to Jesus, to God. So that's me.
Yeah. Thank you very much. What's one thing you'd say people should stop assuming about women abroad, successful women abroad? What's one thing you wish people would stop assuming?
You mean people in Nigeria?
Yeah, let's go back on now.
To be sincere,
successful
women. I'm not really in tune with what they say about successful women. So if you can give me a clue, because I'm not really in tune with a lot of the social happenings in Nigeria.
So and caveats.
Yeah.
What they say, not what
they
I say.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So a lot of people actually think when a woman becomes quite successful, there's a bit of without a better choice of word, cockiness.
Oh, I get what you're trying to say. So culturally speaking, so it's not just back home, even here.
Okay.
I think the culture we came out from would expect the woman to be arrogant, to have a chip on her shoulder. I think the reality in America is very, very different, because except you're a trust fund baby as a man, you better get a wife that can work.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you're securing your now and your future for your children. So a lot of men are okay with their wives working. As far as successful women here, thankfully I know a lot of successful women.
Of course.
Maybe it's the ones I attract. Maybe it's the one in my circle. I don't see any pride. Rather, what I see is this eagerness to assist people. And thankfully speaking, all of them have good marriages, at least to the best of my knowledge. Again, I think it comes, for any woman, it's about separating define who you are first. Have a good sense of self, and then the what you do. Because I tell people, money is the least of all blessings. Sound health, sound mind, peace of mind, good people in your life. And because if money or success or material success is stripped off of you, who remains? If the who remains is a confident person who is assured of God's love for them, who has character, right? I think that person can rebuild. So a successful woman, as she's getting successful in her career, financially, should make sure she never loses a sense of self. And that identity needs to be grounded in someone higher than you. So, and then in general, male or female, if a successful person is cocky, it's a sign of low self-esteem.
Yeah.
My most successful mentors are extremely humble. If you ran into them on the street, you won't know what they have. You won't know their network. So empty barrels make the loudest noise. So if you're successful and you find yourself making a lot of noise,
you're probably just down the ladder.
You're down the ladder.
Yeah.
Have several seats.
Yes.
As they say, So if you're really successful, you get, I think success actually would make you much more humble. Yeah.
Yeah, because, Thank you very much. Has there been any situation where being a Nigerian or a Black woman in general has made things harder for you in your field?
Sincerely, no.
Okay.
And I would say being a Nigerian even made it better. Okay. Where we come from, as a Yoruba Nigerian, you're expected to go to school, you study. I grew up with knowing that Fela's mother was the first one to drive a car. My mom was the first to graduate college and have a master's in our extended family. As Yorubas, we celebrate education. So, and in the world, I think in America, only less than 3% of physicians are actually of African origin or Black. So for me, coming from Nigeria, nobody ever told me as a Black woman, you could not be anything. And then the Black identity too, in Nigeria is more of, are you Igbo? Are you Yoruba? So for me, I never got that shaped into my upbringing. Yeah. So my upbringing told me you can do it. Yeah. In Yoruba cultures, we always had yellow days, yaloja. So I always knew women when there was no disadvantage. So coming to this country was, actually in Romania, nobody said that too. Then coming to America and people talk about all of these disadvantages. Fortunately, by the grace of God, it's not my reality. It was not part of my upbringing. It's not my reality. Now, I'm not saying that it does not exist, that people don't have difficulties, right? Like Black women don't have difficulties. Everyone's reality is different. I'm sure there are some things I would say, and people experiencing that kind of difficulty will be like, I can't relate, you know. And I've seen people on the receiving end of that, you know. So I would say it's not my reality, but at the same time, also going back to who I am, irrespective of my skin color, my gender, I rely heavily on the favor of God.
Oh.
I do. So I would be lying if I tell you I don't rely on that. So again, it was not fed into my subconscious growing up. And then spiritually, I have that sense of self-grounded in God. If anybody comes against me, they're coming against God. It's possible people have done some microaggressions to me and I didn't notice. Because my radar is not looking for that. Yeah. So my radar is actually tuned into the good in people, irrespective of race. I've had white people bend over backwards for me. I have a lot of fantastic, amazing Caucasian patients, Asian patients, Arabs, you know. So I see the good in people, to be sincere. And I feel like it would help a lot of people, even people who grew up with that. I'm not downplaying their experience, but yeah, sometimes look for the good in people.
Yeah.
And I feel like life mirrors back to you what you're pushing out. Yes.
And if I can try to summarize everything you said, I think what I pick from what you're saying is what you see as your identity plays a key role to
it shapes everything.
How you actually go far in life.
Yep. It shapes everything.
And also the insecurity you're allowed to dwell within you.
Yeah.
If you allow that to dwell, it also literally limits where you get to. Thank you very much. That's heavy. It's always great having conversations with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any big plan in view for Bloomfield, for Dr. Bukola Esho, for older Bukola Esho?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, I mentor a lot of physicians. I would like for Bloomfield to grow, to give another physician who is not as business-minded an opportunity to actually have work-life balance.
Okay.
Like you can actually go back home, watch your TV, swim in your own pool. Because sometimes being the doctor takes over people's lives and they're miserable.
Yes.
I would like for Bloomfield to grow, to continue serving patients at the highest level and to provide opportunities for people with not the, how do you say this, non-traditional circumstances. A lot of my staff members will be people who are caught in between stages and phases of life, like mothers of multiple children who need that flexibility for 5 appointments a month, that kind of thing. So if we grow and continue this vision, we can continue offering that to people, not just physicians, not just patients, but staff as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much. What does power mean to you as a woman in medicine and entrepreneurship?
That's a very good question. What does power mean to me? Power means I'm able to get results.
Ooh.
Yeah, it means I'm able to get results. Like, it's like you plug in something into the electrical box, the socket, and it delivers results. You know, so power for me would be the ability to generate results. You know, be it financial. If I have a campaign for my clinic, or we want to bring in X number of patients, if we get results, oh, that's powerful. You know, as a woman, as a physician, if I can get results for patients, especially patients who during their initial meeting with me look at me like I'm lying because it's too big of a dream to imagine their before and after. And then this patient comes, maybe they're just 2 pounds away from their goal, having lost 150 pounds. I tell those patients, especially, it's the best thing when it's happening on a Monday morning. That sets the tone for my week. Like, I'm like, yes, you just made my day. You know, so for me, getting results in any way, any area of life is extremely powerful. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So how do you actually navigate being soft without being dismissed?
Well, nobody can dismiss me.
Oof.
Because I know myself.
Identity.
And I don't bluff. I don't seek attention unnecessarily. And as a doctor, I know my stuff. So just not to myself. So I think part of what my journey before getting into residency, the delay, the so-called delay, what it did for me was it helped me start dreaming about what are you going to become? when this thing gets into your hands, what are you going to make of it? Not to take it for granted. And part of that would be I would look myself in the mirror. Any mirror, it could be public, it could be at home, and I would say some things to myself. This is who you are. Like one of my favorite preachers will say something. Don't mistake your circumstances for who you are. I think he says this slightly different. If it comes to me, I'll say it.
Okay.
But so for me, I develop my inner voice. When I walk into a space, you cannot dismiss me. And I don't represent myself by what I wear. I'm not loud. I don't call attention. But you would know if I walk into a room.
Yeah.
You're not blind. You would know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I'm trying to usurp anybody else in the room or beat people down. No. And then again, I go in, wherever I go into any space, new or old, I go in with the highest good. How can I impact people? Yes. And I feel like people pick up on that also. Mm-hmm. And there have been times, once I remember a colleague in residency, very misogynistic, would talk down at people, especially female Latinas. Mm-hmm. And once he mistakenly tried something with me, and I remember spinning my chair around. Mm-hmm. And I pointedly told him, I didn't raise my voice, I pointedly told him, you're going to go back and face your computer, and you will come up with good ideas on how to talk to me better. And my voice was very, leveled. And the other thing is knowing who you are. You don't react to emotional prompts when people try to push you or pinch you, So I would say that balances it a lot for me. Yeah.
So has there been any time that you had to just lock yourself up in the house and probably shrink?
Shrink?
Like maybe the weight of everything happening was just...
Oh yeah, definitely. And I would say medicine did do that to me. Business did. Okay. I'm coming into business. That was like the school of hard knocks. Mm-hmm. Everything you've read would never be the...
Yes.
It turns out really different. Actually, in my personal office, I have a blue couch. My first 1 year, 2 years in business, I would actually lock the door. I've prayed with tears, And then, but given the way this opportunity came to me, there was no other option. Mm-hmm. So after shrinking, praying, crying, you stand up, you clean your face, and then you do it again. So yes, and I don't think that's the last time I'm going to be tested. But yes, it's very important. I like what you say, lock yourself up. You would need to disengage from the noise. And pressure will always come. Mm-hmm. And it's not a big deal. It's an opportunity to grow. And that actually forced me to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. It forced me to pray in a different way I've never prayed. And we have the results today. So yes, my blue couch is still there, by the way. Yeah. I rest on it these days. Instead of crying, I actually take naps. Yeah. Yeah.
So basically what I got from what you said is the different stages of life as you move from stage 1 to 2. They're just different things you must go through. Yes. Different hurdles you must cross.
And there's something I learned recently, which makes all of it make sense. It's called the natural law of growth. If you're not growing, you're dying. And then even in business, it gets to a stage, the stage 1, you're trying to get your feet off the ground for the first few years, and then you're scaling, you're growing. If you don't pay attention in that stage of growth and you just relax, you're going to die. And that's why you can find 100-year-old businesses just declare bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. And even in your personal life, if you're not growing, you're dying. So the law of growth, and you must, by the way, it's your personal responsibility to work with that law.
Yes.
So when things get uncomfortable, that's an invitation from God, from life for you to grow. Some people will just, they will shrink, they will go back, they will complain. Oh, by the way, complaining won't get you out of it. Complaining just prolongs your affliction. I've learned the hard way. But so I call it pivot or perish. So as all these things comes, these orders, opportunities. And once you grow, you look back, you're like, what was I scared of?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like the famous Nike, without promoting Nike, just do it.
And do it afraid. Do it afraid. You're going to be afraid. Do it.
Oh, that's next level. Do it, but do it afraid.
Yeah, don't get comfortable. Don't wait for someone to validate you. Yeah. Even your spouse may actually see failure written on your forehead, but just do it afraid.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Fear usually disappears once you start doing something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you want the listeners at this time most especially women. I don't know why. I have a strong feeling in me right now that you need to speak to the women. What do you want them to take away from this episode? Speak to them.
So I will tell any woman listening, the world will not function without you. We are about 50% of the entire world. And learn who you are. Don't define yourself by what you do. Oftentimes women would say, I'm so and so's wife. First you were someone's daughter, then you became a wife, then this one's mom. Who exactly are you? What makes you tick? What makes you laugh? What defines you? Once you can, and you won't find all those answers in one day, by the way, but once you start doing the work, you get to know who you are, your strengths, why the world relies on you, and start separating all the things you do, the various caps you wear. Just put them in different corners and learn something from men. Don't muddle the waters. A man will come back from work, he will stretch out, flip the remote and watch soccer. It's okay to do that. It's very, very okay to do that. You will be less resentful of life, of your spouse, of everybody in general. And you don't have to, especially when it comes to your career, it doesn't have to be like, go the same, on the same trajectory as that of a man. Actually, it wouldn't. So, but the good thing is, once those kids are out of the home, if you've developed who you are and you've paid attention and you continue to contribute to that person, your future self will thank you. You will literally spread your wings and fly. So being a woman is not a disadvantage, but please just define who you are. The world cannot run without you. Make the most of your life.
Thank you very much. On behalf of all the women all over the world, I'm the representative today as the host. I'm sure they are appreciating you. That what you just said filled with a lot of wisdom. Thank you very much. We're winding down now. One of the questions I would love to ask you, and this is personal also, how would you say family extended first? Because extended were the ones that were present when you were going to school.
Right.
Now, when you got married, how do you think family plays a big role in the growth of a person, which is you in this case?
Right.
And even while in the business of medicine, how has family played a big role? Is it an essential part?
Extended family, a healthy extended family is essential.
Okay.
And I say healthy because there's some toxic families. Okay. So we cannot just throw wide net. So, but for my family in particular, they've been a blessing. My parents live with us. And before living with us, they would spend 6 months at a time. Trust me, you need them beyond Omugo. So my mom and dad is a blessing now looking back. You see yourself doing some things. And it's just good to know they're still around. To see that, the things you criticized them for when you were younger.
You're doing it now.
You're doing it. You're the nagging mom. And you want to spank your kid. And grandma is like, no. They feel it. Like, you now look like the bad person. You're like, but you used to whoop me for less than that, So them being around just to share their wisdom is amazing. Number 2, they actually assist. It's a blessing. Because at the beginning, when I started this business, even before this, in residency, I was doing 16-hour days sometimes. It's just good to know that a different set of eyes that are in your corner can watch your children. My mother-in-law is an amazing person. My late father-in-law, amazing. I still remember all his wisdom. Again, healthy families, not the toxic ones. Very essential. And then don't forget, it takes a village
to raise.
As a woman, there's so much you can rely on daycare for. There are some days, actually most of the days, my parents pick up my kids from daycare. Wow. Yes, I drop off, they pick up. And trust me, the times they've not been around and I had to do everything, I knew my blood pressure was going up. So it's just good to know, okay, someone who is in your corner. If my mother-in-law is watching my kids, I can take a nap. So as a woman, especially in this day and age, we bought into a lot of fallacies. You think you can do it all. Especially, kudos to single moms. People will be like, you are more than enough. That's a big fat lie. Even with your spouse, supportive spouse, you're not more than enough. You need rest. You need to disengage. You need a trusted set of eyes. And sometimes for me, as a very driven person, it's good to have those older people just say, you're doing too much. Sometimes I don't even know when I'm doing too much. So them being around saying, you're doing too much,
Calm down.
Yes. And then, especially in this kind of place, I'm sure your social life looks different than what you did in your past in a different country. For weeks, no visitor.
Yeah,
for weeks, for months, nobody comes to knock on your door. But just knowing that they're there is a different kind of
flex
of conversations, of dialogue. Otherwise you can, if you're alone by yourself, just you and your nuclear family,
you can actually
get on, like, it's just different.
Yeah.
It's different. So it's good to have people. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a people person.
Yeah, definitely.
And having a good family, very helpful, is it's been a big blessing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. What's next for you? What do you feel God is nudging you towards in the next chapter?
So in the next chapter, I actually feel God is telling me to grow. In 2023 into 24, we came up with the 5-point plan for Bloomfield. And then it really worked out well. But when I say worked out well, we're only able to do 2 points. And I was like, towards the end of last year, I felt like, I should have achieved the whole 5 points. And the V, actually, it was SOVG, and I'll just say the V, which was what we were working on last year, was vision. Vision for the next. And then that was when I realized, like, what I thought was for 2024 is probably for the next decade. So now it's time to, dream bigger. It's time to grow in uncomfortable places. On a personal level, just so you know, as an obesity doctor, I'm not the most I wasn't the most pro-exercise person. Part of my personal growth now would be actually exercising.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's very uncomfortable, and then the other thing is, we need to dream bigger, like I said. I'm finding myself reading books I would not have been comfortable reading this time last year.
Oh, wow.
And it's not just reading the books. Now it's going to be time to implement, again, touch more lives for patients, mentor more people. And now we're getting to the stage where my pre-med, American pre-med students are getting into medical school. That's so beautiful. I would also love to actually teach medicine because I love teaching. I would love to teach in a real actual faculty setting outside of my practice. So I think from a professional point of view, that'll be it for me. Yeah.
So when you're talking about teaching, are you talking about teaching in America?
In America.
Or back in motherland?
No, so for me, I'm not very connected back to the motherland.
Because you've been
away so long. I've been away for 20 years this year.
That's a long time.
However, I'm very connected. I eat Nigerian food. I speak Yoruba every day. I even speak my dialect, Akure, every single day with my parents. I go to a Nigerian church, wear Nigerian clothes. Yeah. I'm surrounded by maybe 10 Nigerian stores in a 5-mile radius.
And most of your friends are probably Nigerians.
Yep. So I don't feel, I'm not connected geographically, but culturally I'm connected. So back to your question about teaching, I would like to teach here. Because I feel like America definitely did a lot for me medically.
Okay. As
a patient, as a physician, the best medicine happens in America. So I want to teach here. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is there anything you want to say to our viewers right now? And to encourage them, or to also tell them about Bloomfield Medical. We've not really been able to talk much about it. Tell us what Bloomfield Medical Clinic does. I know, but I want it to be from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
And also the medical offerings, what you guys do, and how they can get down to Bloomfield Medical Clinic.
So Bloomfield Medical Clinic is a very comprehensive obesity clinic. Because we recognize obesity as a disease, right? So we meet people in a very compassionate setting. There is no judgment about how you got there. If we ask you questions about the why, it's just to be able to go back in time and help correct some things. Thankfully, we are living in the world of the biggest medical revolution right now, the GLP medications, the injectables. So there is really no reason to manage a disease that is like almost 100% curable. So we offer medications to help you treat the weight loss, to help you treat obesity. In addition to that, we actually do a lot of teaching. Oftentimes when my patients actually graduate. So when my patients are graduating, they'll be reminding me of things we talked about during the first visit. It's not unusual for my patients to take notes during the visit. We define goals together. Even when you fall off the bandwagon, I've had people come back. We just resume. And they know there is no condemnation there. There is no beating you over the head about that. But the goal is we get you to a healthy weight. And once you get there, we keep you there. So we do the reversal of obesity and then we do maintenance. Because I tell patients something. Lifelong preventative maintenance of a healthy weight. It's not mandatory you get on dialysis. It's not mandatory you get a stroke from hypertension. It's not mandatory you start requiring medications for cholesterol. Even if you are on those already, we're thankful for, again, the advances in medical care. You can actually get off of those medications. So Bloomfield will give you all of that in a very compassionate setting. And we don't rush patients. All my patients, past, present, can tell you that. We really get to know you as a person, right? You're not a number, And you can contact us directly. We have a phone.
Yes. It will all be on the screen.
Yeah, it will be on the screen below. And all our staff members are people who have worked directly. Either they struggle with obesity directly or they are family members. So it's very personal for them, And my patients always know the name of the staff member. This is not the office where you're like, oh, I spoke to one girl. No, that girl knows you, you know her or him, and they're deeply committed to taking care of you. And we look forward to working with you. As far as life advice, life is a gift. Make the most of it.
Wow. Life is a gift. Make the most of it. So we have come to the end of today's transformative, as I said earlier, episode of Unlocking Lives Not with Fola. But before we go, I'd put out a poll on our different Instagram, social media platforms. And one thing a lot of people said I should ask you was, to our viewers, what is there any mentoring or anything you would love to give to at least one or two of our viewers all over the world?
Yeah, I love mentoring pre-meds. Mm-hmm. I love mentoring doctors, especially those who studied in other countries. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking to come to the US, stay in the US. Actually, getting to the US is the smallest problem. Yeah. Getting in, passing the exams. I do a lot of that already. Okay. So, and like I said, it's something I want to continue. Okay. Because I'm going to get old at some point, and I tell those doctors, I'm going to retire one day. And I need good quality doctors taking care of me and of my family members. So yes, I do offer pre-med mentorship. Okay. And it's actually ongoing. We do rotations. I'm sure you probably have seen some of my pre-med. Yes. And one of those ones, is actually going to medical school this year. Yes.
Wow. That's great. That's great. Thank you very much for that. And also, we're putting you on the on the hot seat right now. Okay. If we have to come back to put you on that beautiful seat, do you give us your word that you would honor our invite?
Oh, I would love to. I thought it was going to be a tricky question. I thought it was going to be a question about something deeply personal, and I had to play the fifth. Yes, I would love to.
Thank you very much.
And I would love to also see you grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so hopefully next time you're putting me on this seat, maybe it's on CNN.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Thank you very much, our viewers, our fans all over the world. Thank you for spending such a beautiful time with us today. We have come to the end of the episode today, and I must say it was truly, truly, truly transformative. Till I see you next time, all our different social media platforms are scrolling through the screen right now. Do well to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube. Thank you. Till we meet another time. It's Fola.